Hello and welcome back to TICKER Ventures, where we meet up with one of Australia's most successful and passionate entrepreneurs who's here to give another entrepreneur some insight, some thoughts, ideas and extra focus. But today's episode, we're focusing on the man himself, the main man himself. Fred Schebesta is the founder of Finder.com and joins us live for a special discussion this week. Mr. Schebesta, welcome back. Oh my God, he's doing the face.
Oh.
He's doing the look. Oh, mate, now we're going to talk about your book. It's all very exciting, but as always, I want to touch on the crypto space with you. We talk about crypto here at Ticker a lot. Did you happen to see that there was 600 million stolen in what could be one of the biggest cryptocurrency thefts ever? I believe the money was returned. But are you at all concerned about the security within the crypto space? It just raises a lot of questions.
I think it hardens the ecosystem. Every single hack, Binance was hacked back in the day for 40 million and they gave the money back. I think it's just one of those things that hardens things, that makes it stronger. Sushi Swap, the guy ran off with the money and he came back and he kept on going. And that's what's made it really, a reliable and solid place to go. I just think it's all part of the process. You remember like all the great internet hacks where you couldn't put your credit card into an internet site because you're worried about getting hacked. It's just a process. It takes time. And I think the actual amazing part is that the people bring the money back. They want to build the ecosystem. That the hackers are involved is just the most incredible part as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm glad you had that slant on it. All right, now let's talk about your new book, Go Live, 10 Principles to Launch a Global Empire. It just hit Amazon's #1 bestseller status on day one of launch, actually, which was earlier this week. Were you surprised by the uptake of the book? Congratulations, by the way.
I'm absolutely humbled by this, and I feel it's a little bit overwhelming. Like I think it's because you put something out there and you make yourself vulnerable, and there's a lot of vulnerable stories in the book and all the challenges you've been through. The people want to read about that and they want to hear about it. And I think what I've noticed right now is that a lot of people are starting businesses. I think it's right now some stats will come out where it's the highest number of new business registrations going on. And I think this book might be that impetus and that energy and really that mindset to go live. That's that real kicker that really, really steps it up right now. And I think that's what's important. This book is mainly about mindset, about going live, about launching. And I think that's what people need right now. I'm really worried right now, and I feel for people, particularly who, they can't go to work right now because of lockdown, and they can't, conduct commerce how they were conducting commerce before. And they have employees as well, and they have other people that they, it's not only them that's hurting, it's the people they buy from. So it's the sandwich maker down the road where they normally would have bought their lunch from. They're hurting as well. She's hurting with her family. And then the person who baked the bread for her, she's hurting as well. And so I really feel for everyone right now. And I hope this book is a way to spark some inspiration, to give back as much as I possibly can and reboot this economy. Let's get some hope back in here and some optimism. And I think that's what this book's about. It's about that mindset. And, it's not all pretty. There's a lot of mistakes I made and a lot of failures. I failed 39 times before I built Finder. And it talks about that. And these are kind of the principles, I think, that will help you through those tough times, to deal with failure, to deal with struggle. And hopefully, I think, maybe that's why people are interested. There is obviously a little bit of Bitcoin hiding in it, but anyway.
Naturally, I'd expect nothing less. But I love the way you unpacked that there. What was one of your favorite parts about writing the book, sitting down, getting all your thoughts out there?
I think I remember I was doing a lot of recordings during COVID actually as well, a sort of, question and answer. And I sat and I recorded for hours. And what I loved was the moments of insight I understood about myself, where I realized certain perspectives. For example, I realized I'm a very creative person, and I realized just how much struggle I've been through. And I realized these moments when I was telling the story and I was looking back, and because you're writing it down and giving it to someone else, and then you're reading it and hearing it back, I realized, like, I was like, whoa, I've done a few things, and I actually genuinely have put those stories in there because I did those things. That's where they come from. They're not, these are just, I didn't imagine them. They came from literally being there, in the trench, like loading the gun, like literally, I've got the scars on and the arrows in the back of my back from pioneering into things. And I think that reflection was a moment that I didn't realize would come from that. I didn't think I'd learned something about myself, but I really did. I realized just a lot more about, again, who I was, because you were writing in the third person about yourself, which is, kind of strange in a way. And I think what I always try to do, and I think we've, you guys, TICKER Ventures does a great job of this, is to teach people. And I hope the lessons that are in there and the principles can help other people build their business and go live with something, get that mindset.
Yeah. Now, you talk about the 39 times maybe that you've failed before in business, but I was wondering about your personal endeavors in life and actually getting to the point where you could, take those arrows in your back and actually stand up for yourself and be confident and in yourself. I'm wondering if you've got any advice out there for people, like myself, who are starting out and wanting to get things going.
Well, I don't know. I'm quoting from the book, and I think, I don't know if this is bad or not, but page 25, chapter 2, I think, is about this. It's called Persistence is Omnipotent. The most certain way to succeed is always to just, try one more time. That's from Thomas Edison, a quote there. And I think this book starts off with, I am not good enough. And I think it's a key section, and it talks about the judgment you have about yourself. And I carried that judgment around for a very long time. It talks about my emotional coach and how I felt, a quote here said, I felt like the me that was showing up every morning was a fraud. It's tough. It's tough to, when you judge yourself like that and you have that internal dialogue. It took me a long time, I'd say a good 6 years to unpack that. And the way in which I think of it is, when you fail, it's you who's speaking to yourself, that internal voice. No one else is really saying anything because they're too busy doing their thing. And that fear is really coming from inside yourself. And I think when you recognize that, that's the first step. The second step, and this is what this chapter is all about, is getting clear on that mindset, is imagine if you were a child. And when you were learning, imagine, or any other child that was learning to walk. And how do you speak to a child that's learning to walk? They fall over. Hey, let's get back up. Let's go again. It's possible. Keep going. And we'll try again tomorrow. And then think, when you personally fail, how do you speak to yourself?
Violently, aggressively.
So would you speak to a child that's learning to walk? Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Yeah.
And so that kindness, that's what it takes to start to get used to dealing with failure. To be kind to yourself as well.
And how does that judgment manifest, do you think, in people who quite haven't reached it yet? I'm talking about maybe drinking too much or behaviors that actually hold them back as well?
Most of it comes out in self-sabotage. So, when you're out late at night and tomorrow you've got a big meeting and something inside you keeps you out there and and that's actually you sabotaging yourself because of the internal judgment about yourself. That's what's actually happening in that moment. It's actually a deep subconscious belief about yourself that's driving the emotion, which drives the behavior. And once you unpack that belief and get close to that, and it took me a very long time to get even, I'm still in beta mode right now, and working on myself every day and trying to get a bit better. But, I've definitely self-sabotaged. I've become, what I call is you become a bit of a terrorist in your own company, and you just start saying terrible things, but you're really just judging yourself. That's actually what's happening at this moment. It's nothing to do with anyone else. No one else is actually saying anything. They're actually just carrying on with what they're doing. And that takes work and recognition to work through. And I think that's a lot of what I've tried to write about.
it's a form of projection and whatnot. I can already tell that the book's going to be really interesting to get through, and sort of just having this chat with you now. Let's just touch on the 10 principles in the book. Do you think they're all equally important to follow? 10 of anything's quite a few. I imagine they're quite in depth as well. Do you want to just give us a bit of insight on those?
Yeah, I think, I look at it, I think the, principle two, the persistence is omnipotent, I think is, a great one. Growing outside your comfort zone, do things that mean to you. I love the manufacture serendipity, principle 5. That one's one of my favorites. Absolutely love that. Being remarkable, principle 6. I think these are all things which they're kind of like moments in time when you're like trying to make a decision and you can come back to the principle in the back of your mind. You're going to be like, oh, I remember that moment. And the way in which I try to, get the 10 so that you remember is they're all little stories. Little stories that you can, you can call back to and go, oh, I remember this happened and that happened. And that will remind you in that moment. And hopefully that's the way I try to make it so people can remember them. But I do think they're all important. And there are 2 more secret ones. You can see about that at the end of the book.
Awesome. So is it possible for just like anyone to adopt these principles and succeed? Like, who are you sort of targeting with this title?
I think it's anyone who wants to launch something. Anyone who wants to grow something, build something, start something, and really get into the mindset, get the, and drop the self-judgment that you can do this, you are good enough to do it. And it's okay if you do fail. And all of the anecdotes and all of the principles will help you through those moments, those weaknesses, those tough times when you're judging yourself. That's where it'll help.
Yeah, I love unpacking this stuff with you, Fred, especially when we talk about failures and how we can overcome them each week. But you've also got a special promotion, which I find really fun. Willy Wonka style, you've hidden 10 Bitcoin golden tickets printed inside 10 books. What is Bitcoin worth at the moment? And are these tickets out there at the moment?
So I have hidden 10 golden Bitcoin tickets. That is absolutely confirmed. They have been distributed into 10 random books. There's $1,000 of Bitcoin to be won, and they have random actually amounts of Bitcoin attached to each golden ticket. And they're out there in the wild. I don't know which book specifically they're in. We made sure it was a fair and process, and they're out there right now. Bitcoin's trading at $45,600 US right now. It's doing really well. It's holding some really stable ground right now. And we actually marked the price of the Bitcoin actually back in time at 54,000 Australian. So it's actually gone up in value. So it's actually more than $1,000 of Bitcoin that's currently out there right now, floating around in some book. You could buy it on Amazon on Booktopia. We went and actually distributed it and put them in the actual books randomly. So who knows who's going to get which book, but they're out there, and I'm hoping people collect the Bitcoin and they celebrate that. You can see more of the details on my personal website as well.
I was just going to ask, we can head to fredschebesta.com, Amazon Booktopia, and all good bookstores. That's really exciting to think. And was that your idea to do the golden ticket? Because that's clever.
Well, I love giving away Bitcoin, and I think it's a great way to first get used to it. And I remember someone, very early on sent me a tiny piece of Bitcoin in the beginning, and it just made me understand it. And I hope that people can learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and the amazing things that are involved with it. The other thing I thought about, and this actually comes from one of my team members, it wasn't me. So James O'Donoghue, shouting out to you right now, he came up with this idea that as the books get older, and if the Bitcoin tickets haven't all been found, it means that over time, those books will become more and more valuable because someone hasn't opened their book. And so eventually people are going to be searching for these books because, when Bitcoin goes to $1 million, that little amount of Bitcoin will be worth quite a bit. It's hiding in books out there. So
That's awesome.
We'll see what happens.
Fred, we're running out of time, my friend, but thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about your book, Go Live. Looking forward to getting a copy and, of course, hopefully finding that golden ticket. Thanks again for your time, my friend. It's always a great chat with Fred. Guys, I'm Mike Loader. That's Ticker Ventures for the moment, our Fred Schebesta special. Look forward to seeing you again soon.